Hey, this is Gareth and Bruce. This is our first attempt at a podcast.
We just don't know where it's gonna go. You got more of the gruff voice. I got more of the
Softer feminine voice.
screw you. Hey.
I don't know, I felt a little snobby when we hit 10 episodes.
Okay, that's an interesting question.
The two of us can be Vin Diesel. Gareth can drive like him. And I can
You
look
can
like
look
him.
Welcome to Spaghetti Junction. My name is Gareth,
My name is Bruce.
and we talk about things. We just don't know where they're gonna go.
Hello and welcome to the Spaghetti Junction podcast. My name is Bruce.
I am Gareth.
And we talk about things.
We do. 72. We just
don't know where they're gonna go.
A sheep, a drum, and a snake. This is just a warning. This is bad.
Oh, more word.
A sheep, a drum, and a snake fall off a cliff. Badum. Tss. Or if you don't know, badum. Tss.
Oh, more. Badum.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did warn you in advance.
Jeez, he did warn me in advance.
I don't
about
even
that
know
one.
how I got that. I apologize to you all. I'm also going to be playing a game where can Gareth knock his beautiful
Yeah.
Pepsi.
Yes, I was saying to Gareth, it's like every time I have a Pepsi or a drink on
A
this
drink in
on
general.
this podcast, I bump it on my mic stand, and
Yeah.
Gareth has never done that yet.
I don't have that monstrosity.
Yeah.
I just have a little nicely angled thing.
You do.
I like this one. It's very, very nice. So no, and this is still the lemon one, and I have
You've got quite a few.
I've got quite a few to last me, but I like their size.
It's like Gareth kind of got a bit serious after our prepping episode, and decided he would start with the soft drinks
Just carry on.
as opposed to the food, rice, toilet paper.
Can I watch this here?
Oh yeah, check that out.
So this is pretty much what's it? 6 of 18, 24.
A zombie apocalypse has got nothing on you, bro.
Come on.
Tell you what. Look at this.
But there is a reasoning behind the madness.
There is
Yeah, there is a reason behind the madness.
method behind the madness. Okay. Reason, method.
I like the reason behind it. Maybe you have a method. I have a reason. The reason behind the madness is that, I'm in this whole thing of trying to lose weight and trying to eat better, and I'm actually doing reasonably well.
Awesome. We haven't chatted about that in a while.
No.
I just remembered.
The first sweet thing I had on Friday was, the first sweet thing which I ever had in the week was on Friday.
Well done.
Anyways, so I used to drink sodas, soft drinks,
A lot.
a lot. So what these things do is they fill up 1 cup.
Cool.
So I can still enjoy something on the weekend,
Yes.
but it's 1 cup, and then I'll have one maybe on Sunday.
That's it.
And that's it. Because if you buy a 2-liter,
Yeah. Well, remember that's the. No, I think that was my piece of advice.
it actually was, Bruce. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Because otherwise, it's there. It's in the fridge. It's open. But these ones, you can exercise a little bit more self-discipline.
Yeah.
That's why I think they need to instead of whole slabs of Cadbury's whole nut chocolate,
Yeah.
they need to make ones that are just like 3 squares. Because man alive,
Do you manage to do this?
my issue with chocolate is like Gareth's issue that he used to have now with soft drinks. If I have if I open that slab of chocolate, it's 2 days gone. I can't actually.
I can't.
I can't.
I can't.
Can't at all.
I can't do
I
it.
can't actually control myself. I actually have a problem. If there is a support group out there for chocoholics, I think
In all seriousness, there are groups out there for mini X.
for mini
Many X out there.
mini X. That's
Yeah.
a brilliant one.
Thank you.
Yes.
There are. There's multiple meanings.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we can actually find you.
I
one.
have an issue with chocolate, therefore I don't buy chocolate very often.
Yeah, I look. I like. Okay, before we lose our customers. Wow. Sorry, I called you guys customers. I apologize.
As far as
But
I
that would
understand-
mean that they'll be paying us.
As
So
far as I
they're not
understand,
customers.
this channel is not monetized just yet.
No, it's not. By the way, we hit 51 subscribers.
Boo, yeah.
So I think the previous episode we mentioned there was 47. Yeah. So in the space of those, we hit the 50 mark, and I was saying to Bruce, I know it's only 50, but it just looks so good.
It does. It's one of those good like round numbers.
Yeah.
I said to Gareth, it's the tens. It's the counting up in tens.
Yeah.
That does something psychological.
It is, but the 50 mark is just like halfway to 100.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I did my maths pretty well. So thank you to those guys. I'm aware of one of them who it was. It's Graham, a friend of mine. Thank you so much. And just because I don't know your names, I can't say thank you, John, Mary, Martha. Whatever your names are, Mark, Luke, John.
Thank you very much.
Martha, Mary. I don't know many names, do I? Amber. A B. A name in B. Belinda. Carl. Doug. Eric.
And if you had to, and you said Amber, so we should say Johnny as well.
You're right,
true.
Johnny.
I did there.
Yeah. Anyways, by the way, and I know we need to reach a topic now. I know what we're here for, what they're here for, not customers but fans, loyal. No, guys, but thank you. 51's fantastic, and thank you to all the last 4 who've come through for us. We're only at the beginning. I was going to mention it very, very quickly. Last night was the biggest boxing fight in the biggest women's boxing fight in history.
Wow!
They sold out Madison
Square
Gardens. It's about 18,000, I think, and they sold it. Okay, I may be wrong, but I think it's about 18,000.
The Garden is a big boxing venue. A lot of massive fights
it's the
have
boxing
happened.
venue.
Yeah.
So the fact that the main fight, the main card, was the women's fight, and it sold out. And that hasn't happened before.
Who were the 2 fighters and who won?
Katie Taylor, who's from Ireland. She's I'm going to get this wrong, guys. I think she's the middleweight champion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's the middleweight champion of the world. And Amanda Serrano, who's from Puerto Rico. She's the flyweight champion. So she had to move herself up to, I think it's 2. She basically had to
increase her weight class.
Increase her weight class, exactly.
Okay.
And it was a very good fight. It was like smacking.
Who won?
Katie Taylor,
by
like, I think it was like 6-4. So it could have been a draw, but the fact is it was an amazing fight.
Okay, so it was one on points, not on like
knockouts. No. And it lasted 10 rounds, and they fought even to the last round. They were still swinging, man.
Okay,
it was an incredible fight, and no, it was huge. And they're thinking of doing a rematch in Dublin.
Wow.
Which will be massive.
Sure. So
they're thinking like in September, but they're not sure. And obviously, Jake Paul being the agency, basically, the agents for her, their managers for her. He made a deal. He made a bet live with Eddie Hearn, who is the manager agent of Taylor.
Oh, okay.
That he made a 1 million bet, which shows how much money is being thrown around.
That's crazy.
And the bet, they've realized that they actually can't do it because it's illegal to bet, against your fighters. So now they're making a deal to do an amount for the charity. Anyways, but it was brilliant.
Yes.
It was really, really good. Anyways, just wanted to share that because that was a pretty big thing. And lastly, there may be interruptions throughout. I do apologize in advance. I'm just wearing the right shirt for now. Just know it's linked with football, and my team has to win, otherwise we're screwed.
So yeah, Gareth might go onto his phone and just check results.
It's just there, and 16 minutes in, and it's 0-0. So I'm happy.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm done. It was a bit longer intro, guys. Sorry, but there's a lot to talk because we actually haven't seen ourselves. Seen each other for a while. Okay. Dissociative. Third trance. Come on. You know me in the podcast. I can never say things properly. Disco. Also known as multiple personality disorder. Dissociative. Fuck.
This is supposed to be
Just
the
go.
serious episode.
I know. Just go. I'll just look at you. It's fine. Go.
I hope I pronounce this. Dissociative identity disorder.
There we go. Thank you.
I told
Well
my-
played. Well played.
Yes, also known as multiple. Well, it
It
used to be.
It used to be known as
used to be
multiple
known, now
personality
it is-
disorder.
Yeah. Now it's. No, it's yeah. Very interesting. Very scary. I feel very strongly for people who struggle with this condition.
Sure.
It must be terrifying the first time it actually happens,
Absolutely.
where they suddenly find themselves standing, I don't know, in the middle of a street, in a shopping mall, and possibly without any shoes, maybe without any pants, and they wonder how the hell they got there. That must be very scary,
So
and with no recollection of.
DID is a mental health condition. People with this identity, the DID, have two or more separate personalities.
Yes.
These identities control a person's behavior at different times.
Right.
It can cause gaps in memory and other problems. And various types of psychotherapy can help people, which I'll get to later because I have a whole thing about what can be done. But yeah,
Right.
it's not a easy disorder to have.
Yeah, just wanted to add one more word in there to the whole thing of the presence of personality. Two or more very distinct personalities, not
Sure.
just kind of
Separate.
acting.
Yeah.
Very distinctive, and so that was Let's talk about symptoms. Like, how do you figure out if this is maybe something that is going on with either you or someone that you know?
Sure.
The inability to remember large parts of your childhood. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. That is a big symptom, because so much of so many sufferers of DID have had very, very traumatic childhoods, and that the brain comes up with this incredibly clever way of shutting out, blocking, and protecting that person.
Yes.
So they think back to when they were maybe 5 or 6 years old, and they really can't remember much of what actually happened.
Yes, as you say, I mean, like everything, about us is, as to how we've been made is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, to a point where our brain can actually factor that in, that it's going to be that you cannot handle all of that, trauma, because otherwise I don't know what will happen.
Yeah.
So it actually steps in and actually says, "Whoa, buddy,
Yeah.
I'm going to block that off. Otherwise, it's amazing."
Yeah. Protection, like a natural protection mechanism.
Yeah.
It's you don't even, and this poor child doesn't even realize that's happening, and then only later in life, because they might not even then remember.
No.
They
Not at
won't.
all.
They won't remember that trauma. They won't, and that thing that gets brought out by a therapist
Absolutely.
and all that. Yeah.
I mean, I think from my life quickly, I have never had this. What we're talking about now, and I won't get into this at all, but it was only about maybe 2.5 years ago, no more actually, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Within a whole therapy thing, I think as well, did a memory come back of a traumatic time when I was a child, of about 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, it hadn't, hadn't really showed itself since 9 years old until 40, kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it's just interesting, exactly as you say, like how the brain works, as to like how would I have been if I had actually, remembered and gone through what had happened, what would have. But as I say, I don't have this disorder. I'm just saying I'm aware of how the brain just supersedes our choices sometimes.
Yeah. One of the other ones, like I mentioned earlier, was finding oneself somewhere that you don't remember getting to. So you could be sitting watching TV, and then suddenly maybe find yourself in the middle of a street, or walking, in in a person's garden that you never realized before, anything like that. Hallucinations are a big one.
Yep.
Different, thinking you're seeing things in different ways. Out of body experiences. I don't know how you would explain having an out of body experience. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Possibly if you're sleeping, or if you were sleeping, and I can't speak for out of body experience. I don't think I've ever had one. And the big one that would probably freak me out is differences in handwriting.
Really?
Yeah, because everyone's got different handwriting. It's like a fingerprint. That's why there's such a thing as handwriting analysis. And imagine being one person, but you have distinct handwriting, distinctly different handwritings, depending on what personality is dominating you, or has come out at that particular time.
Jeez.
Maybe one person could be right-handed, the other personality could be left-handed. How crazy is that?
The word yeah, and I think that word, which is not what you were saying with this, but I think a lot of I think the word crazy can be used, can be thrown around, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As in, like, you loony bin, and
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, like with this, it's not a crazy loony thing.
No, it's not.
It's a mental illness.
Yeah.
Other little things, which can come from DID, just now more narrowed down kind of thing, or like things, anxiety, depression,
Yes.
disorientation, memory loss, suicidal thoughts, and interesting enough, drug or alcohol abuse. And I would imagine we did an episode on sex addiction.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it'll be drugs, alcohol, sex. It can run the gamut, so to speak.
I think especially if you're prone to those types of mental episodes, drugs and alcohol can just exacerbate those.
For sure, dude. And I would imagine also that it's possible that it's an outlet as well. Feelings of detachment, unreality, and inability to cope with stress is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what I found quite interesting is anyone can have DID,
Mm-hmm.
but it's studies have shown that it's more than likely women who end up getting diagnosed more than men.
Okay.
Very interesting. I didn't go too much into that, but I thought that was an interesting point. So yeah, and then strongly linked to acute trauma. Or it doesn't have to be like it's not always traumatic experience, but just maybe very acute experiences when in childhood, but probably mostly traumatic.
It needs to be something big for a DID to happen. It's not a little side thing. It, from what my research and stuff, it is, and a lot of it comes from sexual or physical abuse during your childhood, and sometimes it develops in a response to like a natural disaster or to other traumatic events. So it's not. And what's interesting is there was one article that was saying that the disorder is a way for someone to distance or detach themselves from the trauma.
Yes.
So there's always some form of trauma involved.
Right.
It doesn't just evolve from a dog bit me, or it's a life altering thing.
Yeah. let's see what else we've got here. Oh yes, it was changed. So I found out that it was changed from multiple personality disorder.
Correct.
Because most alternate personalities are not whole. They were more fragmented. So they encapsulate certain emotional reactions to certain situations, that kind of thing. So, how do I go more into this? So instead of, wait a minute, that goes against other stuff though, because
I don't know what you're talking about. I really have no idea what you're just saying.
It goes.
It's it's almost like you're having a conversation with yourself.
Oh my word.
Carry on, because I honestly don't know what.
Sorry, no, I've just realized that goes against the very first statement we did when we talk about there are two or more distinct personalities.
Okay.
And so that goes against. So that's my mistake.
That was fine. Okay. I don't know what you're going to talk about. So,
that was.
It's fine. Whatever. This is all. I wouldn't say live, but yeah, it's live for us.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, don't be sorry. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Because, like I say, I don't know what you're going to talk about. So, you didn't do anything wrong.
No, I just realized that statement flew in the face of what I mentioned right at the beginning. I'm like, no, wait a minute.
That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah,
so sometimes, and this is interesting, that DID might be confused with other behavioral or learning problems common in children, such as attention deficit. ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it's interesting because of not being 100% sure of what may be wrong with the child. A lot of usually, from what I understand, it isn't diagnosed until you are an adult.
I see.
Because when you're a kid, there's a lot going on mentally and so forth. Like ADHD, etc. And it's very easy to think, okay, that behavior might be DID, that behavior might not be it. So to actually try and make a call as to this is DID, it's only really found out when you're in your adulthood, when everything actually comes to mind.
Okay.
So I wanted just to go into it, not like a deep dive into it, but the questions sometimes are sometimes there's a question which rises with all this is how is DID actually diagnosed? And there's a thing called the DSM-5, and it provides the following criteria to diagnose this thing. Okay, this is what it is. Cool. So I will be reading it because it's just there's so much to actually memorize. And I just can't do this. Okay, so there's 5 that I have down here. Okay, 1. So this is how to provide the following criteria. So these are the following criteria to diagnose DID. 1, 2, which is what we already said. Look, so most of these are linked with what we're saying, but in the beginning. But I'll just break it down more. Number 1, 2 or more distinct identities, which is what we said, or personality states are present, each with its own relatively enduring pattern of perceiving. So they each have their own section kind of thing, relating to and thinking about the environment and self. 2, amnesia must occur, defined as gaps in the recall of everyday events, important personal information, and or traumatic events. 3, the person must be distressed by the disorder or have trouble functioning in one or more major life areas because of the disorder. 4, the disturbance is not part of normal cultural or religious practices. It's very different. And 5, the symptoms cannot be due to the direct physiological effects of a substance, such as a blackout or a chaotic behaviors during alcohol, for example,
right,
or a general medical condition, such as a seizure or a partial seizure.
Right.
So these are very distinct. You must have these to actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I had a look.
Sorry. a last paragraph.
Go for it.
Sorry, I just saw it and I was like, this is interesting. The distinct personalities may serve diverse roles in helping the individual cope with life's dilemmas. And now these are examples. For instance, there's an average of 2 to 4 personalities present when the patient is initially diagnosed. Then there's an average of 13 to 15 personalities that can become known over the course of treatment.
Yeah.
Environmental triggers or life events cause a sudden shift from one alter or personality to another.
Yeah.
So there's more than it actually breaks open.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy that we actually gone this far through the episode and haven't mentioned the movie Split, which is probably one of the most extreme movies, I would say, when it comes to.
If you want to,
I think that was DID.
After going through this research, I would imagine it's a DID.
How many personalities did he end up having?
I
Like
can't
23, 24. I think it was over 20.
Really?
As far as I could remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay,
the
well,
way he...
it's a movie called Split by M. Night Shyamalan or Shyamalan.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a movie called Split. It's yeah, I mean, you know, it's not made to like understand DID or whatever, but it's just very interesting how the main actor, which is
it was oh man, I just had his name now.
and he was an X-Men.
Yes.
I can't remember his name right now. It'll come up.
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy, and how his character can change from like a young girl to an older man and it just flicks back and forth. It's actually quite disconcerting.
The way he played that role was.
And again,
fantastic.
it's a movie, so it's a dramatization.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take it as exactly what someone goes through. Anyways,
I remember watching an episode of the series Lie to Me as well.
Lie to Me is great.
Yeah, and Cal Lightman had to deal with this girl who also had I think she only had about 3 though, but very distinct personalities as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So treatment of DID.
Apologies.
So basically, what they start with is what is termed as a phrase is called mapping the system.
Okay.
I don't know if that came up in any of your research at all. So what they do is the therapist will identify and get to know the key alters. So the alters are the alternate personalities. That's the term that they use for them.
Okay.
So I'm sure. So because what happens is that there's going to be, say, this person has about 10 or 15 different personalities. There are going to be ones that are dominant and are stronger,
yes.
Coming out stronger than others,
yes.
kind of thing. So they need to find and like get to know those dominant ones first.
Yeah.
And then every personality has some type of role within that, and the therapist then tries to understand what role they're placed in, why they're there. So one could be a protector, one could be a nurturer, one could be a anything like that, and and what they're concerned about and all that.
Okay.
The patient may also have no knowledge of any trauma, which goes back to the memory loss and stuff.
Saying in the beginning, yeah.
Where the alters are the ones holding the trauma, and then protecting the patient from their memories, and so that's pretty much what I think. And then what the therapist tries to do. I didn't go too much into how they do it.
Things here,
but sort of try and consolidate all those personalities into one personality that sort of lives one reality. And
some of the treatments then, to carry on from you, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, and adjunctive therapy. I'll tell you what they are.
Cool.
So psychotherapy, also called talk therapy, is designed to work through what. So what you're saying, it's designed to work through whatever triggered, and triggers it, and the goal is to help fuse. So we've said that great. Hypnotherapy is used in conjunction with psychotherapy. Clinical hypnosis can be used to help access repressed memories or control some of the problematic behaviors.
Right.
And the adjunctive therapy is therapies such as art or movement therapy have been shown to help people connect with parts of their mind that they have shut off to cope with the trauma.
Okay.
There are no established medication, by the way, for DID, not as of yet. So it basically makes these psychologically based approaches the mainstay of therapy.
Wow.
So there's not actually medication. From what I've been reading, there's no like one set. You pop these.
Okay.
Because you're not gonna find a medicine that's gonna help you go back and deal with your shit.
Yeah.
There's no way with which you can take a pill and it just goes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there are some pills to help.
Yes.
In certain ways, for sure. Yeah.
And actually, talking about that, this is something I'd forgotten about.
Yeah.
You just sort of triggered that memory for me. I actually have a guitar student.
Okay.
35-year-old guy who is actually he has been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Okay.
And you can tell he is on some sort of medication because his personality is completely flat. There are no ups and downs. And when my interactions with him it's very tough. It's a tough half an hour because
Really?
just that kind of reaction that you just had, it's like, oh really, like facial expressions,
Nothing.
just the normal things that you and I would react to.
Nothing. So you
Flat.
don't know how he's doing.
It's sometimes I get what could be perceived as a smile out of him, but it's very, like, if I asked him questions, it's very like clipped yes or no, very short answers if he has to use more words. And I think it is down, I haven't looked into it a lot, but I think it is down to the medication, because could be so all over the place if he's not on the medication. It's this medication that just keeps him on such even keel. But there's no natural up or downs. You get bipolar, you get someone who's bipolar, and the ups are really up there and the downs are so depressing.
If that's like
those are the extremes.
Yeah, that's the massive extremes. Not everyone has that level.
No. Yeah, but we all have those ups and downs. That's normal. But this guy, and sort of just general, and it's very sad because it's affected his general social skills as well.
Of course.
Social acuity, just that kind of thing. And if you were someone who just sort of met him in the street or whatever, or interacted with him at like a get together, you'd think, oh, what's up with this guy? But it's just very interesting, and it makes for a tough guitar lesson. But
I would imagine.
I try and just be as friendly and accepting as I can be. There's nothing else you can do really. But 35, that's literally how he's living his life. And it's very, very sad. But yeah.
Anything else your side?
I found some of the.
And then I can finish when you're done. Finish up the episode with how I'm gonna live with it, and as a friend or family or so forth.
Cool. I got some of the differences between DID and schizophrenia.
Why are you bringing in schizophrenia?
Because sometimes schizophrenia can be thought of as like a multiple personality type of thing.
What is schizophrenia in itself?
I don't have a definition. I'm sorry.
I knew you wouldn't. That's why I asked you. Can you carry on?
It's. I think for a lot of people, when they say schizophrenia, I think then they think multiple personality disorder. That was my thing. That was my thought for it.
That's a good thought.
But is it the right thought?
Yeah. Okay. So schizophrenia. Here we go.
I honestly thought that it was another way of thinking about multiple personality disorder. So I was wrong.
How dare you?
I know.
So let me give you like a broken down. Okay. I know that it affects a person's ability to think, feel, and behave. So it's, I'll break it down a little bit more quickly. So what is schizophrenia? Okay. So schizophrenia is a chronic brain disorder that affects less than 1% in the United States. Who cares? When schizophrenia is active, it can cause delusions, hallucinations, fair enough, but disorganized speech, trouble with thinking, and lack of motivation. So a lot of this, it's schizophrenia, it doesn't talk about multi-personalities. It's nothing to do with it. Yeah, so your point might be
a bit moot.
Null and void, but
I think so. Let's just cut that out.
No, it's fine. That's right.
We can leave it in and watch Bruce embarrass himself on camera in front of I don't know how many people on YouTube, which happens quite often. So I mean,
well, that's just why I asked you, because I thought, okay, let me just, not to show you up. It's like, okay.
I think you showed me up.
I actually did.
I think your intention was to completely and utterly eviscerate me.
So just okay. I've now gone to another page with another. So let's just see how it ties in. This page pretty much says the same thing. It's a serious mental disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally.
Right.
Schizophrenia may result in some combination of hallucinations, delusions, fair enough, which is linked, and extremely disordered thinking and behavior, but it's got nothing to do with
personality.
No.
Okay. So therefore, some of my research was actually wrong.
Ring ding a ding.
I know.
Wow.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet, kids.
Don't believe everything you hear on this podcast.
That too.
Just making it clear right now. Okay. So anything are you right?
I'm okay. That was a bit traumatic, but
I'm sorry.
I think I'm going to be over it.
You'll be okay.
It's okay. I've got another personality that's protecting me from that at the moment. Because I'm an interesting bunch of guys.
Yeah. So
No,
okay. So questions that like basically living with DID. Okay. And this is very practical stuff. Okay. So so for example, if a friend or a family member has DID, how can I help them? Having a loved one with DID, for the other person, who doesn't have the DID, it can be very confusing, or very, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because as you say, you're seeing all of this, and it's not just a person on the street. It's your flesh and blood kind of thing, or your very, very, very close flesh and blood. Things like, where you can learn more, about DID and its symptoms, which I think we've done relatively well. Counseling, and then, and then there's a question that's like, when should I look for help? When should I call somebody?
Yeah.
So some of these symptoms, which might become more apparent are things like, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, violent behavior, things that aren't the norm, basically, and then there was a note here, which was written on on the paper. They say that DID, is obviously a mental health condition. Someone with DID, which I was saying is multiple personalities. And therapy can help people manage their behaviors and reduce the frequency of identity switches. It's important to have for anyone with DID to have a strong support system. Healthcare providers, family members, and friends can help people manage it. So it is manageable,
right.
But from what it sounds like, the person needs to have, a village? What it takes a village to.
Takes a village to raise a child.
And it's almost, I wouldn't say like a village, but it definitely takes a loving, core of people around someone who has DID that will assist them, in managing it.
Yeah. So it's more and it's based more in counseling than in, because you said there's no medication.
There is medication to assist, but there's no medication to make it go away, if that makes sense.
And then but that counseling and that support group and being able to talk about it with knowledgeable people or just supportive family members, and that's the sort of the main.
And it's very important, I think, for the family members or the friends to be involved in a group as well.
And to be educated as to everything involved around that.
Exactly. So that and then to sit with, with other, families or friends, saying to themselves, I'm not alone in this. You know what I mean? That this is not only me, because, as I've said, it can get very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And that's why you need a lot of people around and each other to support each other and to support their loved one who has the DID.
Yeah.
And not to treat them and not to treat people as mentally unstable, as in, more as in like, he's mental kind of thing. There's a thing where with people, a lot of the times, that if you cannot immediately see their behavior, then you just think someone is just, is it like, sorry, I'm going into circles here. Well, what I'm trying to say is that it's very easy to see the symptom of someone who has cancer, for example, because, it is visual. But with mental disorders, sometimes you can't see exactly what's going on, and it's very much easy. It's very easy at times to sweep that under the rug,
right?
Because it's not as visual, but it's a mental illness. It's an illness, and people must just be treated with that love and that respect. Because as we're going through this, that person hasn't got the ability to deal with what's going on. So how fair is it to pour your judgmental sides and your judgmental approaches on someone who it's an illness and they need to get better and they're sick.
Yeah. And
that's where you as family and friends and support groups and psychotherapy are very important.
All right. Interesting chat, eh?
Always.
You haven't encountered anyone like in your life who's been I mind myself.
No.
I haven't.
So
I think this has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast.
It has, Bruce.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and engage with us in the comments.
And as this ends, it's half time and 0-0.
So
that's good.
Edge of your seat stuff.
So I don't need my gin and tonic or whatever people drink when they're stressed out. I don't do gin and tonic. My sister loves it.
I don't know.
My sister loves gin and tonic.
I think I've had half of one.
I don't think I've ever tried one, and I don't want to.
No, you're not missing much.
But no, she loves them. So no, I would probably go for like a brandy.
Yeah.
Stiff brandy in the rocks.
Yeah, and a cigar.
Yeah.
Okay, you do the brandy, I'll do the cigar.
Done. Cheers to that.
And cheers to you people.
Indeed. Thank you for being on our ride. And we hope that you've learned something new, as we do, because, we research for this normally. And we actually... No, I wasn't putting that... I didn't mean to...
Sometimes my research is wrong and I apologize.
No, I didn't. No, I wasn't bringing that up. It was badly timed, I know. No, what I'm trying to say is that when we do episodes, we actually learn... as much as you guys do.
Exactly
so
right. Yeah, there we go.
This is a library. Thank you.
Catch you guys on the next one.
Goodbye.
Ciao, bye.